And we're back with another episode of the Lakers Fast Break podcast. This is Gerald Glassford coming right back at you here from Lakers Fast Break, Pop Culture Cosmos, where we cover the latest news and trends in pop culture each and every week, twice a week, wherever you get your podcasts. Also, as well, of course, our good friends, like, of course, Empire Jeff, covering the Lakers and Dodgers, and also, as well, Daniel Barry Sports Highlights. Yo! Go ahead and check out all these great people, all these great places, all these great things, including the Lakerholics coming tomorrow for your entertainment and enjoyment tomorrow at 11 o'clock. Also, as well, of course, Alfred Esmond, Stone Hansen, Legend 350, who was in the chat. Truly appreciate you joining them. Support all these great guys, but make sure you go ahead and give us a like and subscribe. Also, as well, big shout out to Zach from Lakers Live, who was at the game today. You know he's got to be heartbroken after what happened. Lakers coming so close, so close, so close. But yes, go ahead and support all these great places, including us, by going ahead and liking and subscribing today to get the latest notifications on when we go live on the air with the latest Lakers Fast Break podcast. And don't forget also as well to become a member today for just $2.99 a month. That really helps the channel and really helps you become part of our great community right here at the Lakers Fast Break. Well, the Lakers, when we heard the news that Luka Doncic was not going to play today, DFS was not going to play today, Gabe Vincent was not going to play today. I think what I was thinking about was what Robert Wheeler, the eternal optimist, said on last night's chat, that he was already penciling in a loss for the Lakers. I said, wait, don't do that just yet. We'll see what happens. And I'm assuming that pencil got even more sharpened to go ahead after hearing the news of who was not going to be in the game. But the guys who were there tonight, the guys who did play it out tonight, I'm going to give a ton of credit to because they played their hearts out tonight. As the Lakers went into Denver on a back-to-back, facing off against the Denver Nuggets. And yes, there was some rough edges. Yes, there might have been a letdown on the other side, but you know what? With minutes through this game, the Lakers played with heart, played with toughness, and you know what? They almost got that victory, ahead by 3 with less than a minute left. But then at final minute, mistakes down the stretch. Murray hits another shot from 3, back-breaking as it is, and Russell Westbrook gets the steal for an easy slam. And despite all that and the valiant effort by the Lakers, unfortunately, they lose tonight, 129-126. They're now losers of all 4 games on the road trip as they head back home for a quick turnaround in a little over a day. They're going to be at an afternoon game on Sunday afternoon as the Lakers face off against Phoenix. Then we'll update you where they're at in the Western Conference as soon as all the websites get updated. But here today to go ahead and discuss today's valiant effort is a good man indeed. He is, of course, the mastermind behind the Joe Soro Experience, coming to a local channel here near you on YouTube, plus also as well, of course, on Steam, his game, Corrupt, COREUPT, and of course his company, Simblades with Y.com, is Joe Soro. Joe, I know we had our issues during the game, but there's one thing we did not have an issue on, was the fact that we got to give credit to every single individual player that was out there today for the Lakers. They played with heart. They played with a lot of fortitude. Austin Reeves and Dalton Connect on the offensive end, getting it done. I said before the game, or I said during the game, that they had to get 70. And they almost did get 70 combined in order to go ahead and keep this game close. They had the lead with 1 minute left on a team that's expected by many to go all the way to the finals, Joe. A depleted Lakers team almost beat the Nuggets tonight.
This would have been a huge boost. It would have allowed them to stay ahead in the loss column against all the teams ahead of them, except for Oklahoma City. That was what was at stake. They were up 3. The game was lost on that and 1 to Jokic. I think if they could have played a little bit of defense there and not let him get the ball literally under the rim, there might have been a chance. I don't know what failed there, but that was really the one that hurt them the most. Jamal Murray hitting the three, obviously he's a it just seems like he just hits those shots against the Lakers and he sucks against everybody else. I don't know. I mean, it's nice that it was competitive, but it's just this team. The only way this team has a chance to make a run here is they have to get that 2 seed, no less than 3, and sitting at 5 is not something that's going to work. And right now, looking at what's at 6 is the Golden State Warriors, and they're they got a bit of a distance from the Lakers. The problem is they've won 6 in a row. Minnesota's won 7 in a row, and they're essentially tied with Golden State in the 7th spot. The Lakers are going to have to get healthy, and they're going to have to start getting some wins here. Otherwise, it could start running away from them, and I don't want to have to see them go back into the – I don't want to see them
play mixed.
Yeah, but even then, at that point, if it did happen, it's probably a Dunsky because 5 and 6 aren't going to work either.
Yeah.
They got to get healthy, and they got to start winning some of these games at home. And they do play better at home, so I'm looking forward to seeing. I'm confident that had they played at home, they would have beat Denver. Usually, role players, especially guys that are in the 10th, 11th, and 12th spots, usually play a little bit better. But they did well. A lot of guys did well. When you're up 3 and you just need to make one stop, that's really what's burning me right now. That's what's really kind of like setting in right now. So yeah, it's unfortunate.
Just hurts though. Again, the execution down in that last minute. You'd like to replay that over again, but also in that first half, man. When we ask about why some of these guys sit at the back end of the roster or the back end of the team, you can see why. In some cases, because they're air balls, missed layups. Some of them, like in the first half, right in front of the rim, and they're blowing layups, and it's just like, man, if they just had made just 2 of those easy layups, or in the first half, or just did this or just did that, they would have definitely changed and done the impossible tonight. But I can't say I blame you. Give these guys a lot of credit because they played with a lot of heart. But as
none
you
of that
said,
mattered. Yeah, none of that mattered. You're up 3 with 53 seconds left.
Yes.
You have to play better defense than that. The ball went straight to Jokic, literally under the rim. How does that happen? That should never have happened. I don't care who's playing. These are all still NBA players. You should be able to at least guard the paint for a few seconds. If he ends up getting there because he makes a move, that's fine. But the fact that he got it so early and was able to pretty much control how he was going to make a shot, and then on top of that, you had a player that wasn't smart enough to just let him score, and at least you still have a 1-point lead to get the ball back. You're running a different play when you're up 1 versus tied.
Yeah.
And these are the things that I've seen even when the guys are healthy. I wish that the little things can get handled a little bit better here in the future. I just don't. I'm tired of losing these kind of games. It's starting to bother me.
Can't say I blame you. But once again, the Lakers unfortunately could not get it done in the final minute. They lose 129-126. And here today to go ahead and talk about today's game. Good man indeed. He, along with his tag team partner, Sports Baby. You guys always talk about Joe and I going at it, or Joe and Sean. I think the new odd couple is not Joe and I or Joe and Sean. It is Sports Baby, and of course, Xbox. Xbox, great to have you here. Great part of what we did on playback.tv/Lakers Fast Break. Good game. Just very competitive from the start. Totally surprising. When the Lakers went down by 13 or 15? Was that in the third quarter?
Yeah.
Bloodhound said, "Oh, Gerald was already to call this game." I think a lot of people were ready to call this game, and when the Lakers got down to double digits, it had all the earmarkings of, okay, Denver's finally turning it on. They're going to put the Lakers to bed, a depleted, injury-riddled team to bed. But the Lakers, give them a ton of credit for getting back into this game and getting it done.
Yeah, hell yeah, Gerald. And like, I'm going to look at the positives. I'm going to try to look at the positives. It's obviously taken me and John a couple of minutes to get over what's happened before we joined, but yeah, obviously the end was quite shocking. To be up 3 points with 50 odd seconds to go, and to let ourselves down with some really dumb plays, man. And Koloko, you're there, Coco. You had a good game, but you let yourself down late. Shake, I was calling out Shake, my boy, the whole time. Milkshake, what a terrible pass late. Yeah, a couple of really bad moments, but if we look at the game as a whole, man, great effort by the boys. And shout out to AR, obviously. Again, and John will probably talk about this a little bit more, but AR had some pretty puzzling moments in that fourth quarter, considering how well he played overall. Some of the ball distribution just was a little bit off late. He wasn't passing the ball, sort of shooting random shots. But how can you hate on a guy that's, nearly beaten a team by himself? And the other boy that we always got to give a shout out to was Dalton. Dalton Connect is a rookie, guys. And the dude's, gone for 30 odd points tonight, and nearly beaten Denver. So, we can, obviously it hurts. Everyone in chat's going to be hurting, and everyone here on the pod's going to be hurting, because a win tonight would have meant a lot. Obviously to be another win in front of Denver and them getting another loss, but it didn't happen, and it wasn't expected to happen either. So if you look at it objectively, fine. But I'll take the positives from tonight, and I'll shout out a few more boys. I'll shout out Shake for his contribution for most of the game, other than the end. Shake had a good game. Vando at times did some stuff that was questionable, but he did some good stuff too. Markeith Morris, Big Mac Morris, not a bad effort by you. Overall, I'm going to try to be positive because it's easy to go the other way and focus
And
on the
he
fact that
wanted
he
to
lost.
stick it to Jokic. I am
He
so
did.
surprised he didn't get himself kicked out tonight.
Yeah.
He wants to stick it to Jokic
Yeah.
every single time. He
But
might
what, man?
he might not
Yeah.
have that many more opportunities to in his career, because his
Yeah.
career is starting to wind down. A lot
It
of people
is.
say it already has, but yeah, he would have loved to have taken that opportunity to take it out on Jokic tonight.
And we'll go to John real quick, but just before we do, that's sort of extenuating my point about JJ Redick. JJ had an influence on this team tonight, whether it being the halftime talk, and we came out, the third quarter, we started playing better. Obviously, the second quarter was terrible. So JJ got the boys motivated. So, let's look at the positives, guys. At the end of the day, we didn't have 4 of our starting 5. And we gave Denver a game. So see you next time, Denver, when we got all our boys back. I'll see you.
Once again, it is, of course, the Lakers Fast Break. It is, of course, Joe Soro, John Costa, Mark, aka Xbox, and me, Gerald Glassford. Thanks again for watching, listening. Lakers lose 131 to 126. They are now 40-25. They fall to 5th place in the Western Conference. And also, a good man that's here today. You need to go ahead and like and subscribe. Help him out in a fellow Lakers fan time of need at his great places to go, Lakers Corner and Clutch Talk. It is, of course, John Costa. John, do I have you with me? Or you're frozen right now? He is frozen. All right. Frozen. I do want to go ahead while John is trying to get his stuff together. I'll go ahead and get him there off there right now while he fixes that. But wanted to go ahead and mention that M24, Mad, feels bad for you, Mad. I think he says he broke another TV. Well, let me put that. Well, there goes TV number 2 broken off a casual random game. Oh, man. Number 2, and I'll bring it to you, Joe, in a second. Number 2, This is from Robert Wheeler, who I mentioned. You were not penciling it in. I said not to pencil it in the loss, and I changed your mind on that one. And the heartbreak of this game hurt so much that he is crying right now. I hear you, my friend. We feel for you. But things are going to get better once we get everybody back together, and hopefully the home cooking will do just that. But Joe, I want you to comment on this one from Lakers All Day. Do you all think Braun and Luka is holding Austin back from balling? I'll leave that to you.
Well, anytime you're the one option, you're going to play better. The question is Austin going to want to leave if he wants more playing time? Do you feel like Austin's a number one or a number one on a team? Probably not.
Well, it's more usage. It's more usage, I think, is what you would be saying, correct?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, it's the usage, which is why he could stack six mans of the year with this team if he chooses to. He could be the sixth starter essentially, just much like Manu Ginobili was, and it would benefit guys like LeBron, especially now in his current state in his career, and then it would lessen the load on ball handling for Mr. Doncic. So you gotta look at this and appreciate that he's capable of being this guy, and let that be an option when you need to kind of put the final touches on a roster to compete for a championship. Austin Reeves is outplaying his $14 million a year by probably double.
Yeah.
That's something the Lakers are going to have to figure out if that's something they want to invest in. I wouldn't mind either way. If you didn't go with Austin, you'd have to get maybe two players that could do what he does. I don't know if that's out there. The other usage player was Dalton Connect. If there was a game that solidified the veto on its own, the Rob Pelinka veto, it was this game. Dalton Connect, whether it was buyer's remorse or not, it was the right move. Dalton Connect is going to be an extremely good player in this league, and I don't want to see another young developed player or developing player that has skills leave. I don't want another Zubac. I don't want another Caruso to leave. I don't want Reeves to leave. If you're asking me, I don't want those guys to leave. I want those guys to stay. The only way you trade Austin Reeves is if you're getting back someone who's better than him and would work with this team. That's the only way. And I think we know what would work and what wouldn't work. Looking at this from the non-loss win area, which it's still kind of hard right now. My hands are still kind of tight from that and one by Jokic. It's really starting to settle into my nerves right now. You've got young players. You've got guys like Jordan Goodwin who's showing something here, and this is not the first time we've seen this out of nowhere. The Lakers have to hone in on this and take advantage of these guys that are coming up, and then when they have the opportunity to really add a couple players, they just need a couple players this summer. If they can get those couple players without having to relinquish too much talent, too much depth, I should say, then you have a very good opportunity to put a team together here next year that would be formidable from not only the starting area, but also maybe 4 to 5 deep from the bench. So think about that for a second. If the Lakers were able to get two players, let's say one starting center, and then you kind of just keep going with what you have with Rui and Austin, and then you're able to acquire someone for the Kleber, Gabe Vincent contract, something like that with the draft pick. Bring that in. Now your depth and your money role players, and your money role players now have depth, and now you have continuity. You have a lot there. That's kind of I'm trying to get my mind into that area right now because I'm still irritated by that N1 because I actually believe that if they had even if they had scored there, if they score a 2 there, but if you make them work for it, the Lakers have a chance to win that game in a much better fashion, and it just wasn't good. But yeah, those little things need to be worked on, and this team needs. This team is going to have the opportunity to add to the depth on this team with guys that are developing out of nowhere all of a sudden that we didn't expect to develop, and now, okay, if we're going to get the Jordan Goodwins that are going to be doing this, if Austin Reeves is going to be playing like a guy that might be a borderline all-star, and if Connect in his rookie season is going to start looking like a guy that's going to be dropping 3-4 threes a game, guys, you know what you have. So use the assets you have this summer, use the expiring contracts that you know you could trade without hurting that depth, i.e. Gabe Vincent, Kleber, guys like that, because that's a considerable amount of money. I don't know necessarily if you're going to get anything for Jared Vanderbilt because his contract's kind of a
3 more
hard
years
contract to move. Yeah. But it's not out of the realm that it couldn't happen unless, maybe the Lakers, figure out a way to add another first round pick or whatever down the road if they can get somebody of significance. But the foundation is starting. The foundation is being created here. Please don't mess with this foundation. Please. The only way you trade your new assets that are starting to bloom a little bit is if it's a bona fide number 3. And that could be a 1A, 1B, 1C. It could be 3 1s. It could be a 1, 1, and a 1 and 0.1. I don't care, whatever it is. Just make sure that this team continues to have its continuity or it has its talent so far ahead of everybody that it makes sense. That's kind of all I'm asking for.
Let me bring it back over to John Costa, who's got everything working out now. Clutch Talk in Lakers Corner. He's got that new profile shot right there. Yeah,
I
good,
don't know
man.
what's going
Good.
on here, guys. Honestly, my freaking camera that I usually use on my monitor is not working. My Wi-Fi is just decided to say "fuck me in the ass" during
Yeah,
most
but that's a
That's-
better angle.
What's
That's a
wrong
better
with
angle.
that?
We should keep it.
I like that. Yeah.
That's a good
it
feeling.
Good,
looks crazy, man.
All you got to
But
do is shift. All you got to do is shift the LA neon light to the right, so it shows all the time. You're good.
you
Yeah.
like
You look
that?
good,
You guys
John,
like this
man.
angle? I mean, because
Balling,
the
bro.
monitor I'm looking at right here, but the camera's right here. So
Yeah.
Psych.
I don't look at the
Nah.
camera. I look at the monitor.
that's
look
what I'm
So
sharp.
let me
trying
bring
to
it back.
look at, man.
So let me
Go
bring
ahead.
it back to you, John. Your thoughts on the game. You were with us on playback. That final minute. I know that right now JJ's in the locker room saying he's taking ownership of the way that that last minute went down. Jokic, the play that Joe was talking about, the scoring the and one to the game. He said he went onto the floor to check on Connect and then didn't substitute the way he should have with the time crunch and the timeout. One of the things I want to say is, okay, if you want to say anything about JJ, he got the Lakers to this point. He helped the Lakers to this point by making a lot of right moves to get the Lakers in position to win the game. But when it came down to those final 2 possessions, having Dalton on Murray or switching on Jokic, if there's any way you could have tried to hide him on the defensive end, that probably would have been a better option. But also as well, Koloko not fouling Jokic instead of just letting him shoot that layup was also critical. So your thoughts overall, again, JJ putting the team in a position to win the game for 47 minutes. Absolutely, deserves a lot of credit for that. But that final minute is probably something he, as a rookie coach, has to learn how not to do going forward, John.
Yes, he needs to learn how not to do that. And real quick before I get to that, Kurt, I said that my Wi-Fi wanted to fuck me in the ass, not me wanted my Wi-Fi to do that. And then and then also Mission said I look like Zach Levine. I'll take it. I mean, I hope I hoop like Zach Levine too. But about the game though, man. Like I'll be honest, like this game just came at me with so many surprises. Like I didn't even expect us to even be in this game. First of all, like period. So for us to be in this game was sweet. It was great. I mean, I remember in the third quarter. Oh no, sorry, not third quarter. The second quarter when we were playing really bad, I was like, man, Like if we, this is what I was expecting the whole game, but for us to just have this in waves was it wasn't as bad. We started to have that dominant first quarter. We had a good like last couple minutes of the third quarter, and then early into the fourth quarter that got us right into it. But what I think is one of the biggest things that went wrong today, besides the Coloco fouling at the end, and then also not switching at the end, when Jamal Murray got just an open three. I also think that like come down the stretch, and I know I may catch some heat for this, and so I'm going to preface this by saying like coming down that stretch, guys, like Austin Reeves took some real ill-advised shots, like some real ill-advised shots. And I know, but before everyone tries to get on me, like, bro, he had 37 and this and that, and I know he did, and I know there was almost nobody else out there to help him. But sometimes you have to understand that what the defense is thinking. You got to think ahead of the defense, right? So the defense knows Austin Reeves is the only reliable option out there. So you best believe that they're going to send box and ones, they're going to send doubles, they're going to send helps. And Austin Reeves, he has to understand, and Luka does this very well. He has to understand how to use his gravity that he knows that the defense is going to give him because of he's the only liable option out there to get some other players open. Because I mean, in that fourth quarter, you guys, like I saw him take some falling to the side, double team shots that's just wild, ill-advised, without a single pass in that possession, like a couple of seconds into the shot clock. Like these are the things that I think that may go under the radar. With a 37-point game, and hey, if it wasn't for his 37-point game, it wouldn't even been in this. So maybe my point is a mute, but I just think that these are like the little things that great teams have intact and great players understand. So we'd love for him to take that next step. But as far as Coloco, dog, I thought it was simple math, right? I thought it was simple math. The second Jokic got the ball, and the second that Jokic started backing you down, because Jokic gave him like 2 good body bumps before he got to the line, you should have wrapped him up, and you could have even told Jokic in his ear, like, "Yo, I'm sorry, bro. I'm sorry, bro. Like, I'm gonna have to foul you, but it is what it is. Because if I foul you, that the most you're gonna get is 2. You're not gonna get 3." But Coloco doesn't do that, and if he doesn't do that, if he's gonna try to stop him, all right, that's fine. But if he goes up with that shot, you better foul him hard enough to where you make sure he doesn't even have a chance to get this shit off. Coloco does neither of those. Jokic hits the and one, and then the other time down, and then Austin Reeves had missed that pull up. The other time down court, Coloco doesn't switch on that pick and roll. It was Jamal Murray, Jokic pick and roll. Coloco doesn't switch, and in any other situation, I would not want Coloco to switch either. But when the game is running out in the last couple of seconds, and Jamal Murray is getting ready to pull that shit, I want you to switch that, brother, because I just want a hand to contest. So, man, unfortunate that we couldn't pull this one out, but at the same time, did we expect to pull this one out, knowing that no Luka, no Bron? I don't think we did, man. I don't think we did, but you know what? We're here, man. We're here.
Let me bring it back to Joe. And once again, the Lakers lose 131 to 126. They're in 5th place in the Western Conference. Joe, what do you take away from a game like this in regards to how this team, maybe in some form or fashion, yes, they've lost 4 in a row now. Yes, they've fallen to 5th place. Yes, there's still a daunting schedule with more back-to-backs on the way, but if there anything, can you take away from this being a positive on how well the team rallied around JJ and the entire team as a group came together? Is there anything that you can do to build upon this to maybe hold off some people's expectations that the Lakers will fall further in the standings?
What they can take from it is they should have won a game with essentially a third lineup. And now they're going to be home for 5 straight games. And I would go into the next 5 straight games. You're not going to be running this lineup again. You might have LeBron come back before this trip is over at home. So I would say I don't know if expecting is the right word, but if you want to make up for some of these losses, they should have ended up 2-2 out of this. From based off what we saw tonight, they should have closed this out. Up 3 with 53 seconds left, you have to close that. That's just kind of how I feel. You have to close that game because hitting a 3 is a harder shot, and if you do what you're supposed to do, you let them work for the 2 and make it work. I know it doesn't always work out like that, but that's something you have to make happen. The remaining games are against teams that they've been playing really well against Denver the last couple games. You're playing Phoenix and San Antonio in the first 2 games of this homestand, which you have to win now. You have to win in Phoenix on Sunday, and you have to beat San Antonio. You're going to face Denver again next Wednesday, and I don't know if LeBron will be back for that, but based off how they played today, if you have Luka in that lineup and DFS and those guys, I'd like to see them pull that one out. And then you have Milwaukee after that, which will be tough, but they'll be at home. I know it's a back-to-back. And then you have Chicago before you have to go on a 4-game road trip, which is really all over the East Coast. You got to go to Orlando, Indiana, and then actual East Coast. Then it's Orlando, and then you got to go to Indiana, Chicago, and then go back down to Memphis. Lakers haven't been playing well this year on the road, and it's going to be important. Like if they end up having to go 2-2 in that road trip, you got to make sure you win the next 5 games at home if you want to have any chance at maintaining a chance at staying anywhere near the 2 and 3 seeds. So that's kind of the focus I have at this point. If I'm JJ, I'm like, guys, look, what happened. We're going to be sleeping on our own beds for about a week and a half. We're going to have Luka back. We're going to likely have LeBron back probably by the end of this homestand. Let's win every game at home and then get back on the winning ways. And if you can do that, you probably go on that 4-game road trip with some confidence to where, screw that, let's get 3 out of 4 in this deal. At least.
Rodell says, don't say we won't be running this lineup again. Some of these guys are day-to-day, so I'm not expecting them back soon.
What?
He says for you to not say that we won't be running those lineups again.
What lineup? Tonight's lineup?
Yeah.
You're never going to see that lineup run again. Unless Luka
unless Luka's out next game.
Yeah, you're not going to see Luka and LeBron take a game off the rest of the way like this. This was a unique setup where they said, look, we're going to probably lose this game even if Luka's playing, so we're going to bounce. And then when LeBron gets back, you're not going to have likely, unless they're both injured, you're not going to have both. Damn you, Rodell, you got me off my damn tracks again with stupid comment. I never said they were going to run this lineup.
That.
Unless I'm not reading that right or I'm not understanding it. Hold on. Let me read it.
No, what
problem
you
is
said
we can't read this shit because we got people underneath. See, now it's blocking everybody. Don't say we won't be running this lineup again. Some of these guys are day-to-day, so I'm not expecting them back soon. I'm just hoping they don't end up in the play-in. Don't say, okay, well, here. This lineup's not going to happen again. How about that?
Let me bring it back to you.
About the play-in now, Gerald.
Yep. That's a lot of people are mentioning right now. In fact, Natalia's talking about their defense has a 125 defensive rating and the worst defense in the NBA.
So that is a good point, Natalia. Thank you for that. So this usage rate with AR and Dalton tonight. Yes, when you have more time and you're the first and second options, you're going to obviously have more of a chance to shine statistically, and you saw some effective winning here as well, close to winning. But Denver is not Denver. I did not think Denver would be playing defense this poorly, and they have continued to play poorly all year, which tells me that they're probably not going to do well in the playoffs if they continue this. especially even if they play the Lakers. If they play defense like this against a full Arsenal Lakers, the Lakers have a chance to win that series pretty
yeah.
well. And they're not going to be able to beat somebody like Oklahoma City or maybe even a Memphis team. Memphis has a problem scoring. Sometimes maybe that evens out, but definitely not an Oklahoma City, and definitely not going to be able to beat Cleveland or probably the Celtics if they don't fix this up. Alex Lynn. I don't want to be derogatory here. Alex Lynn.
He's a stiff. That's
yeah, there you go. That's the right word.
That's probably the best way to say it.
Yeah, he's a stiff. He's a stiff. He has what looks like, I don't know this guy. I've never even heard him talk. He has absolutely no confidence in who he is. He's Robert Sacre. And I liked Robert. He was a nice guy and played at a prestigious college in Gonzaga and played in LA. He's a 7-footer. But he was a tulip.
I was seriously hoping Morris was going to take Jokic and him out. Both those guys were getting a fight and get some measure of payback. But
what we can say, I would say, you're probably better off going with Koloko than Jemison. I think that's probably going to have to be the guy that plays back up to Jackson Hayes. That's likely going to be the way to go. Koloko showed some team aspects that I hadn't seen from Jemison
and Koloko shoots better from the free throw line.
That is correct. Yeah, that is correct. He had some key
tap outs and stuff too.
He had some key. Yeah, he had some key open men passing.
He's just not strong. He's just not strong at all. That's his detriment. You saw Jokic was.
It's not going to matter. Denver is not a good defensive team, so I don't know if I could really gauge. We can't really gauge those guys until they play a team like Cleveland, like Oklahoma City. Then Boston's a good perimeter. Like, they got the two dogs, but I don't know necessarily if I'm worried about them on defense up in the big boy area. So the Lakers can exploit that if they face the Celtics in the finals. But Koloko might be the guy you want backing up Jackson Hayes at this point. I think he's got enough there to not have to worry about.
Plus, he's a lob threat.
Yeah. Koloko's a better basketball player than Jamison. Put it that way.
Clearly. I wanted to ask you something though, Mark, before I get it over to John. Once again, the Lakers lose 131 to 126. You are a big vocal supporter for one Shake Milton. His defense has always been his unfortunate downfall, as we see with Dalton. What will hold these players back throughout the league? And if Dalton doesn't get as far as we want him to, it's going to be the defense. Same thing with Shake. The thing is, Shake shows you offensive ability, as he did tonight, 7 of 11. He shows you some good things, but he always gets right back bumped on the bench to DNPs, and it's got to be because of what happens on the other side of the ball. But tonight, you said you favored him over Goodwin. I know Joe favors Goodwin over Shake, but between that, they both played pretty good tonight. Goodwin had 10, but Shake had a good performance as well. Outside of Reeves and Connect, I want to go ahead and say Shake Milton showed up tonight. Mark.
And you know what? That was probably my next point. And Gabe, I'm looking at you. Your face improved for a few weeks, but I didn't like what
you guys missed it on playback. He was getting on Gabe, and Gabe is just standing.
Gabe, you're my boy to a degree, but yeah, for me, Shake, some of those minutes that Gabe's getting, Gerald, like has got to be.
And then Sports Baby, I think, got off or did as well. That was.
I don't know. For me, Shake. I know Joe's not Shake's biggest fan, and John, I'll let you talk about Shake as well. But Shake for me is a basketball player. He just reminds me of a dude that can ball at the right times and he can score. So for me, yeah, I don't know.
She
You've
can
got
go
to,
on heaters. She can go on
yeah,
heaters
he
that
can.
Goodwin or some others cannot go on heaters.
That
Like it's
that's
like
right. So
when Vincent. Vincent can go on a heater because he's such an up and down shooter, an up and down player.
yeah,
Same thing with Shake, and Shake can really go on a heater and score for you at times. But you got to know when
well,
that is,
yeah. I
because
mean, but you
when
got to
he's not
find a way
doing
to
it, you
use
got to
that
get him out of the
too.
game.
No,
Yeah.
it's right. But I mean, Shake's sort of been a complete afterthought, and for me, that rationale wasn't right. The
But
other
that
one
last
is,
pass, though, don't have him
yeah,
inbound your passes again.
no, it
As
was
Gregory
horrific.
said it.
But you know what? Like the pressure's on, big moment. You know, we got to give him a pass on that, like to a degree. I mean, at the end of the day, it was horrific, but it wasn't his fault. The
Well, I
reason we
wish
won
Westbrook had
tonight.
given a pass on that. But
Yeah, well,
This is a problem though, Mark. They can't inbound the ball late in games.
no,
This needs to
we've
get
seen it, Joel.
solved.
Talk about that when we had that recently with the one with LeBron, where they was it LeBron that passed it in, or I can't remember who
yeah,
passed it in
it
to
was
LeBron.
LeBron.
Yeah, same scenario, same
Or
thing.
the 1-2 LeBron as well. Yeah, the 1-2
Yeah, I
LeBron.
mean,
Oh,
they talk about us not practicing or we don't have practices. Focus on that, JJ. Get that right. That has to be, that's just fundamental basketball. We had to get a shot up then and we got nothing. We got a steal. That was heartbreaking, let's be honest.
that play
And
to Halliburton earlier this week. How
yeah,
with that play they ran for that Halliburton got the 4-point play on Milwaukee.
of
That's
course.
how you run an inbound play. That's
Yeah.
how you do it.
And the thing that, John touched on it before, that we were a little bit too AR, obviously AR centric late, and that whole thing there was Shake had no other thought in his head other than pass to AR. And you've got to have two or three other possibilities. If AR's getting closed out like he is, you've got to go to someone else. And there was no thought. So hopefully, yeah, and we'll go to mission in a
That's for
second.
John next. Yeah.
Okay, but yeah, the other one I just want to quickly mention, and Sports Baby, I don't care if you don't like the fact I'm mentioning all the players tonight. I'm going to mention whoever. Cam Reddish can't play for the Lakers again. The guy
First time
is a
first time he
Gerald
played since January
is
28th.
yeah, no, that's right. But he is a liability in every sense of the word. So
Magic
get
Man, we
Cam
love
Reddish.
you, but cardio bro, in honor of Magic Man.
Yeah, in honor of Magic Man, Sean Grice, shout out to you. Cam Reddish, you were terrible, and I don't want him to play for the Lakers again. I'm just going to say it. JJ, you watch us, you don't, I don't care. You're hearing me, bro. Cam Reddish needs to be in street clothes all the time. He's not good enough to play for the Lakers. We're obsessed with this guy for 2 or 3 years. Every time he plays, it's terrible. 6 minutes he gave us tonight of the worst minutes I've seen. Cam's gone. Okay, so that's to start with. Cam Reddish, cardio Cam. See you later. Other than that, I think it's a good performance, boys. We got to look at the positives. We put up with a Denver team who, rightfully or wrongfully, they're up there with the best teams in the NBA. They've got the best player in basketball. SGA might win the MVP, but they have Joker, the best player in basketball. So, let's look at the positives tonight and try to move forward with JJ's coaching was great. Goodwin's contribution was good. Shake was okay. And Dalton and AR were great. That's what I'm going to focus on tonight. And if we get our full list, I'm going to say this one more thing, Gerald. Rui Hachimura, we miss you, man. If Rui plays tonight, forget forget LeBron, forget Luca. Even just with Rui, we would have won tonight. So, man, Rui, get back ASAP. And Hayes, guys, let's try to be positive because if we had our full team tonight, we would have won. So that's how I'm going to look at it, Gerald.
Again, I've said this before, but the reason why Reddish, Morris, or Len is still on the team, and Jemison or Goodwin have not replaced them is, again, a cost measure. They will not be able, due to the fact that the Lakers are, 850,000 away from the second tax apron. They cannot sign those players until it gets closer to the end of the season. So maybe the last week, maybe the last day, look for them to make the move to bring Goodwin on a contract, or when it's economically feasible to do so. But Gregory says it's time for the Lakers to release Reddish, Len. That's understandable. But Shake just went 7 of 11 tonight. I don't know. Why would you want to get rid of a player that just went 7-11 for you? But okay, I know Mark would have issues with that. But
He's made a good point about the free throws. To
yeah,
his credit, the
yeah,
free throw disparity tonight was epic, and that's
Yeah.
dubious at best.
I hear you. That's true. But Jameson, 30. He's what 30 or 40% from free throw line. That's a killer right
Nah,
there for you.
Jameson's cooked.
Lakers still had an issue today that they've had also besides the end of the game issues trying to get the ball in, and that is a dead, horrible quarter. That's another thing that JJ needs to fix. Enough of these 12-point deficit quarters. It happens
Second
every
quarter.
damn quarter, at least one quarter out of a game. Can we stop this? Can they play at least even or not be double digits? How about that? Just don't get in the double digit quarter in terms of point differential. And Johnny, you got to keep this look.
Yeah, it's a good look, man.
Yeah, don't switch back to where you were.
Really?
But let me
think
bring
so?
Now you look
balling, right?
because it looks like you're in a studio now.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Mhm.
Okay. All right. Well, maybe I'll keep it.
And you got the Lakers halo right above your head. It
Yeah,
looks
man,
really
that jersey's sick too. That you got.
good. And you're glowing purple off your shoulders like that. Although Joe would probably call it pink, but need I digress.
The shirt on the top right is
He's
a pink.
making us look old.
Yeah.
Nah, you look good,
Oh, like
John.
more
That's a good
more
look.
I
this
am
way,
old.
Joe?
I'm not going to even go. Not even going to
Yeah, me
deny
too.
that. But
My bad.
no, you're not even in my zip code on age, man. Shut up.
I'm getting there.
You're the one that walks 25,000 steps. Don't even get me started, Xbox. John, Nuggets full squad has a question for excuse me, not M24 has a question for you. Lakers down 6 role players. Nuggets had a full squad. How much of a pass does Joe give for our club tonight? And Robert Wheeler, we saw your question. I will hit you up with it. Do not need to copy and paste it again. Go ahead. He's done it twice. And he's like, oh, maybe they didn't see it. Maybe they didn't see it. I'll copy and paste it again.
That's hilarious. That's a real one though. I feel like it'd be wrong of me to be able to answer this question first because the question said Joe's name. So Joe, I want you to answer this question first because the question was directed towards you, and then I'll go ahead and go after you. Can't steal my boy Joe's shine. Joe, go ahead, brother.
What was the question?
The question was, how much do you give like a pass for the club tonight with having 6 rotational players out?
Oh, I thought it was John. My bad.
I don't know. I
good?
don't know if the word pass might. It's more of we have to deal with it. It's not anything we can do about it. We were entertained at least. We got that out. My issue is you got to make up for this now. You're still in there. You're still in that one range in terms of the loss column. I want the Lakers to win every game at home. That's what I think they should shoot for. I think they should do everything they can based off what we saw tonight. We saw a lot of guys that we didn't really think could play like this cohesively, play like guys that are regulars. Use that. Use that when the big boys come one at a time or 2 at a time, and then win these next 5 games at home. If the Lakers win the next 5 games at home, the Lakers are probably back in that 2-3 spot. And that is the focus that I would put on the team if I'm JJ Redick. That loss in Brooklyn is killing this team right now. That should have been a win.
Man.
That loss to Charlotte is killing this team. That's why, and the reason why it's pressing.
The Orlando loss.
I'm not gonna go that deep. Like you're gonna have bad losses throughout the year, but they couldn't afford to have those losses now.
The Charlotte and Utah games.
Yeah, those games you can't lose right now. The NBA, I did some research. It actually wasn't too hard to find. There has been only one 4 seed to win a title, and that was in 1969, like we talked about in the last show with the Boston Celtics. But at that time, guys, there were only 4 teams in the playoffs, right? So then you had 3 3 seeds win. And of course, most of those 3 seeds winning went through LA, and LA lost. One was the Detroit Pistons in 04. The other was the Dallas in 2011. And then the one in 95, which was we always talk about 95 being a weird year for a lot of things that year. They're the ones that won as a 6. So we're going off of history too here. The Lakers have to get to 2 or 3 to have it. It's already going to be difficult. So you have to get the 2 or the 3, preferably the 2, because then you can guarantee yourself home court with a team that plays well at home in the first 2 games. It would do wonders, right? And then if there's some miracle where OKC gets taken out in the second round, now that opens up a whole different thing, whole different scenario for the Lakers. And if Cleveland beats Boston to go to the finals, as good as Cleveland is, they're very, very young. And usually young teams don't win championships. So I'm going off the percentages here. And the Lakers have to figure out a way to get the 2 or the 3 to have any shot at winning this thing.
Man.
And that's how I would go with it.
You don't
Let
think
me go ahead
the Luka factor, John, changes that? I mean, Luka took a 5th seed to the finals last year. Can he do that for us?
Absolutely can. And especially if you talk about you pair him with Luka. Didn't have, when he took that Mavs team to the finals, he didn't have anybody as comparable as LeBron James right next to him, who can just at any point just take over a game. But real quick, Miami Heat Network, he's on here. He's showing love. Appreciate you being here. But he talked about he turned on the game and like 20 seconds left, and he seen Jamal Murray hitting that 3. That's a lot more played into that, brother. So please watch at least the last like 3 minutes of that fourth quarter to understand how that even came about. But to talk about the initial question, right? The initial question from Mission 24 was, we had 6 role players out, and the Nuggets had their full squad. So how much of a pass do we give to the team? I mean, look, guys, it's the way I opened up my opening spiel or opening statement. It was I didn't even expect us to be in this game, to be honest with you. Like, this was a scheduled loss, in my opinion. Second out of a back-to-back. No LeBron,
Did
no
you
Luka.
pencil it in?
I penciled it in, Gerald. I penciled it in, but I penciled it in. But we ended up playing a lot better than expected. Also, to something that I always say is, like, we always play either up to our competition's level or down to our competition's level. And today, at times, we definitely played up to our competition's level to be able to stay with them, and that's to stay on the more positive side. But the negatives, but the negative side of all this, like, I don't want to keep harping on. I already touched on the mistake from Koloko and all and whatnot. But hey, man, I'm more feeling what my guy Mark is saying. Like, let's try to be a little positive here, right? On the fact of no LeBron, literally, guys. JJ Redick likes to run a lineup that is sometimes like 9 to 10 men deep. We had 6 of those. Let's say it's 10, right? Let's say it's 10. We had 6 of those 10 players who like actually contribute for us out. So come on, man. I mean, and we facing a top team in the West who has arguably a league MVP. It's unfortunate that it came at just such a crucial time in the season, because seeding is gonna hit us here. But like how my boy Joe said, I don't need to harp on it anymore. If we can go ahead and finish as that second seed, that's great. But for me, my biggest thing is just finishing anything at that 4 and above, so we can have some home court advantage. Because having home court advantage in LA is gonna make a big difference.
Let me start with you, John, on this. And again, the Lakers fall just short, 131 to 126. Robert Wheeler's question of the day: On a scale from 1 to 10 for the entire panel, with 10 being most painful, how painful is this loss? And how confident are you that the Lakers can at least win one of the next 3 games going against Spurs, Suns? Let's just add 4 games because it's a back-to-back and a back-to-back. So they back-to-back against the Suns and then the Spurs, and then they back-to-back again against Denver and Milwaukee. Your thoughts on how painful this loss is and what their future will be like in the next 4 games?
I would say, as far as how painful, I would say it wouldn't have been as bad if it wasn't as close. Only because, like like I stated, like was already expecting this as a loss, but because it was as close, because we did those 2 crucial mistakes at the end of the game, especially something as simple as just allowing Jokic to be able to go score and not give up a 3-point play, or fouling him hard enough to where he won't be able to get the ball up. That right there is going to drive up the scale a little bit to, like, I would say a 7. I would say like a good 7, 7.5. And then as far as if we can, well, what do I say we go? So what do we have? We have Spurs, Suns, and Gerald. Can you put the comment up on the screen again? It's Spurs, Suns,
Which
and
one?
who?
Oh,
The Robert's
it's the
question.
next 4 games. Next 4 games are the Suns on Sunday. They also, after that, next day is San Antonio.
Okay.
Tank right there. They just lost tonight in a tank game.
Mm-hmm.
And then right after that, you have Denver. Hello. And then Milwaukee and a back-to-back as well.
Damn, this is gonna be a tough schedule, man. But
4 games in 5 days.
4 games in 5 days. That's gonna be a tough schedule. But I'm gonna say we go ahead and at least pull 2 wins out of that. I'm gonna say we pull at least 2 wins out of that. And does anyone have an update on LeBron as far as like where he'll
They're
be in the
still vague.
timeline?
They're still listing as day to day along with
Still vague.
Rui and Jackson. But yeah, I mean, he was watching Bryce tonight. He wasn't what he was. Remember he flew back to Los Angeles, but tonight he was watching his son play. Where he was playing for high school.
Part of this seems a little bit orchestrated to me. I'm not gonna, I am the conspiracy theorist on the panel, but for me to have a 1 to 2 week groin injury, and then you're watching your son, you're not traveling with the team. I don't know. I'm not sure if they just said, "Hey,
well, Hayes
Ron,
and Rui isn't either." So yeah.
No, okay, fair call. But I also feel like, I don't know. Maybe they're like,
Let him be
"Hey,
a father,
Ron,
Mark.
maybe you
Let
can
him be a
rep."
father.
Yeah.
Just
No,
kidding.
fair enough, Ron. But John, I think you made a really good point. Like,
You don't want him coming after you on the sideline like Stephen A. So,
no, that's right. And if he does, we're all in trouble. But for me, like,
no, I'm gonna be filming that, man. I'm gonna be going like this. This is great for the channel, man. This is great for the all
you
right.
can't put it on TikTok though. But for me, like, tonight was
I'll let John do it.
If we isolate moments or isolate the actual game in itself, there's positives, and we got to focus on those positives. And shout out to Mission. I'll let you get that in a second there, Gerald.
But you just lost a TV, Mission 24. Thank you for your generosity, but man, TVs are kind of still cheap. It's one of the few things you can buy that's pretty cheap, though. Yes,
they are. But look, overall for me, it was like the game tonight. Yeah, we weren't expected to win, and we nearly won. So I think you got to look at it just a couple of players in isolation. Dalton Connect, was great. There was periods where he missed layups too, Gerald. Like, he could have probably had 40 if he'd just been a bit cleaner around the, when he was laying up. And same with a couple of the other boys. Like,
that first half, there was like 2 right there on the basket. Just easy.
I know.
Just
he does that a bit, but he'll learn.
Morris
and it's like,
too. Morris and Goodwin
Morris,
both blew like 1-footers just right there.
Vando
seems
contesting. Vando doesn't know how to lay up. Can someone teach Vando how to lay up?
No.
Considering that's all you do. So that for me is obviously a little bit disappointing. But if you look at it in isolation, there's great contributions here. We didn't have 4 of our 5 best players. So for me, I'm going to look at this positively. Joe has said it right. What JJ needs to do is when they get back to LA, say, boys, you're in your bed for the next week and a half, 2 weeks. You got your missus, you got your girlfriend, you got your family, everyone's there, is supporting you. Let's go. Let's get real. These next 5 or so games at home need to be all wins. And we can win them, man. We were competitive without our good players. So for me, it's positive. Dalton, bad moments. AR, bad moments, but it's all in isolation. If you look at the whole game, we've lost the free throw disparity. The free throw disparity was 20, like 20. They had
There
30
were some
or
no
38.
calls on the Lakers that were
38,
Yeah,
egregious.
what was
16.
going on there? Yeah, like, so that's 20. And you think about we watched it, guys. We were all together, man. There was so many easy baskets that they were getting too. So if you can get that right, if you can just coach that out of the team to, I don't know, defend a little bit better as a collective unit, we could have won tonight. So let's try to be positive. Obviously, this hurts, man, and nothing hurts me more than a Lakers loss. But
Well,
there's
on the
some
scale,
signs,
what do you give it?
Gerald.
On the scale, what do we give it, guys? 6, 7, 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10.
I
Well,
gave it a
as
7.
like, yeah,
This
as a,
isn't going to happen again, likely, guys. This was a
no,
one-off.
yeah, because of the players, Joe. You're right, but it's just focusing on the positives. AR has balled out tonight. Man, he had a double-double at halftime, Gerald. Yeah, remember? He had 10 assists, like double assists and double points at halftime. I don't know if he ended up getting the rebounds. I don't think he did to get a triple-double. Dalton connect. I mean, come on, guys. The dude's a rookie. And
Man,
he was keeping pace with the Nuggets, man. So everything's good for me. It's just about how JJ now, like Joe says, when we get back, and John says, how they talk about the next few games and how they come out and play those games with Luca, because Luca's going to be back for these games. It's how they play with Luca now. Okay. But I'm going to be positive. We have to win our home games. Every single home game is critical. I agree with Joe on that. It's a great point.
I speak the truth. I want to take you up on that bet. He
Well,
said, I bet.
that's what I was going to point out. I was going to point out. Let me just say this. And once again, the Lakers lose 131 to 126. Lakers fall to 5th place in Western Conference. I speak the truth. And Joe, don't worry, I got you set up here in just a second on this to what the comment that Kari said earlier. Don't think we're going to let that slide by because it's in there. So. But go ahead, John. I speak the truth. I speak the truth. Wants to bet us $100 that LeBron will not come back before the end of the season.
Let's bet. Please, let's bet. Please, let's bet $100. I'd love to take $100. Guaranteed, LeBron. I speak the truth. I appreciate you. You're a real one. You're always here. You're commenting here in the Lakers Corner live. We appreciate you being here with the Lakers Fast Break family. But brother, I am not opposed to money. And that is money on the table. I guarantee LeBron James is going to come back because he has to come back. Not only does he want to come back to help his own legacy, I guess, if he wants to cement anything further, but we got Luka Doncic. We didn't get Luka Doncic so LeBron James can sit down for the rest of the for the rest of the year. I mean, I hear what you're saying, brother, but guaranteed he comes back. And then the other thing that you said, I speak the truth because I appreciate all your insightful comments. Was he had mentioned what did he say? Oh, winning all 5 is a little unrealistic. I see 2-2 happening next 4 games. I agree with you, brother. I'm right there with you. So just wanted to go ahead and add that on there. But I speak the truth. If you got Instagram, please DM me and let's work out like a Venmo or a Zelle or whatever it is, because guaranteed here in the next couple of weeks we will see Bron back here playing. But I appreciate you being here though, brother. You're real, and I like your name,
Joe. Before we go, you want to go ahead and touch on that question or comment that Carrie put in there earlier? Excuse me. Can you just talk about Dalton Connect again? Such a great game offensively for him, showcasing some of the things that I've been talking about since Summer League. That I know that Rodell and I were going back and forth on, but Rodell is right when he says he has to stop being a traffic cone. We saw something similar in Kyle Kuzma. Kyle Kuzma, for the early years in his development, was a traffic cone on defense, but remember, as you and I both know, during that year in the bubble, he worked really hard to become a defensive I guess I don't want to say stopper, but he really went out of his way to become better defensively and match up against the better offensive players in the league when he came off the bench or if he started. Your thoughts on Dalton Connect, and then feel free to go ahead and tee off once again on Kari on Kari's comments or Kari's husband's comments on what he said about
Well,
Kobe.
he's talking like a Carey right now, so we'll call him Carey or Kari or whatever the hell he calls himself. With all due respect, of course.
Because what did he say earlier again about Kobe?
Go ahead and post it, and then we'll talk about it.
Yeah, it's going to take me a second.
The thing with Dalton, guys, is, and you can't say, oh, he didn't have to worry about any shade on his side or this side or whatever. He played with Austin, and that was it. He was contested all game. He was the second option tonight, and he performed well because he is a very good player. And maybe his defensive deficiencies aren't so much about, well, he doesn't know how to play defense. Maybe it's the fact that he's a rookie. He doesn't know what he's doing yet. When he's thinking about doing what he's doing, that's always one extra second that you're off, and then that becomes a problem, especially if you're playing with elite players during a game. Connect is going to be a very good player, and he's already shown it in a very short amount of time. My advice to the Lakers organization, unless you're getting an impact player that you cannot in any way not get, you make sure Connect is a Laker next year, because he will be better next year, and he will be part of a really good rotation next year, and you'll less likely see him making some of these mistakes in his second year versus now. So I'm very happy with Connect, and I've been happy with him. We talked about it during training camp, about how rookies wait for the wall hits. We're crossing our fingers, hoping that the second win comes in. It looks like it is. Now, there's a little caveat in between there.
John, wait, hold on. Let me just say this, John. Maybe you would want to wait based off of what was said last night. Maybe you want to wait just a couple minutes.
Okay,
couple
I like that.
minutes on it.
Let's see. Go ahead, Joe. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Joe. Sorry.
Yeah, so I'm very satisfied with what Connect has been showing. I'm very satisfied, and I've seen enough. He has the skills. He has the NBA body. He has the NBA shot, and that shot is going to continue to be something that the Lakers can desperately need, and they didn't have to spend anything to get this. Do not ruin it. Do not mess this up. You got a guy who can shoot lights out for nothing. That's why getting guys in the draft when you're building a title team, that's why it becomes even better. And this isn't something that usually happens. You know, the Lakers are known as a team that goes and gets who they want. But the NBA is changing. And this recent team that won a championship was more, maybe not drafted, but they got players in the second round draft picks and free agents. This is not normally how the Lakers built their team. It just wasn't. It's usually through some kind of, at least in my time of watching the Lakers, usually it had to do with guys coming in. So let's talk about the three-peat team. Who were the starters there? You had Shaq that was picked up as a free agent. You had the Glenn Rices and the Horace Grants and the Ron Harpers, all kind of in between here and there in that three-peat were starters. And then you had Rick Fox, and then you had Robert Horry. The only one that you drafted was technically really drafted. That was a big part of that team. That three-peat team was Derek Fisher. I don't count Kobe Bryant because he was drafted by another team in which you had to trade for them. I mean, I guess you could still say that they drafted him because they drafted through Charlotte. I'll give you that one. But the rest of the guys were all acquired in some way. And that's what they're used to. In this last run, short run, you were able to get guys like Caruso. Well, I wouldn't say you could say that the post-Kobe era. You got the Zubats. You got the Larry Nances. You got the Clarksons. You were building through the draft through those guys and use some of those assets to go trade people. And then when you did win, you still did have a couple guys that you were able to pick up from the draft. As unfortunate that it went down with THT, he was drafted and he actually played well in that bubble. Caruso again as a free agent, and you kind of have those guys there, and they're building. Connect is one of those guys. So Connect, I'm very happy with his progress, and I'm looking forward to seeing him continue to get better and more comfortable as his NBA career progresses. Okay. Is it
That's
Kari?
the one I could find. I think there was
Okay.
something else added
So
on.
I already addressed this. So
Is this what you're talking about, Gerald?
Yes.
So
from last night's show.
I Kari or Kari or whatever I'm just gonna call you Khan because that's what your stuff sounds like.
Khan.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do I really want to get through this? I think I did it
because
well.
I'm keeping John here for it. So
all right, John.
Yeah,
look,
but-
okay. Go ahead. You want to say something?
I just want to say something quickly. Like, can we let Kobe rest in peace a bit, guys? Like, in all seriousness, Joe addressed this for 45 minutes to an hour yesterday, absolutely bamboozling Kari, and then Kari's came back with ridiculous comments again. I mean, we can go over it, and Joe, I'll let you cook, and John, you can cook. But can we let Kobe rest in peace to a degree? This guy is the greatest Laker player that most of us have seen. John, he's the greatest Laker player you've seen. Yeah,
Absolutely.
you're 25.
Absolutely.
I'm 40. Okay, I don't remember Magic and stuff, guys. Let's let him rest in peace. This guy is a 5-time champion for the Lakers, Kari. Kari, the shit you were saying yesterday, and I don't swear. Sorry, Gerald. I try not to swear on when I'm with you. But Kari, the crap you were saying about James Harden being better than Kobe Bryant, that's like, why are you even here? Go to the friggin' Clippers channel or the Rockets channel, whatever the hell you like, and troll them, man. We're not going to put up with that kind of shit here. Kobe Bryant is a Laker legend, man, and I'm just over it. I want the guy to rest in peace, man. He didn't just pass himself, Gerald. He passed with his daughter and 8 or 9 other people in a tragic accident. And Kari wants to talk shit. Kari, move on, man. Seriously, I know you're a supporter. Move on, though. It's not good enough.
I sent my pit bull today.
Well
So
said.
is this
I'll put a button on it. It's hard to look at a career that has everything: longevity, statistics. Folks, he was an 18-time All-Star. And while an 11-time first All-NBA player, 11, 9 All-Defensive first team, 5 championships, 2 Finals MVPs, 2 scoring titles, 4 MVPs in the All-Star game, and the guy had. If you cut his career in half, he's still a Hall of Famer in each career. It doesn't make any sense. What are you comparing it to?
why are we even giving this shit light?
Because it's important to educate. It's important to
No, for
educate.
sure.
Maybe
But
not
anybody
him.
that's-
Maybe not him. It has nothing really to do with him. It's about listeners that maybe don't know what we know. I take it as a service because I feel like I'm obligated. I've been here since 1991. Officially, 91 is the date I can remember me being invested in the NBA as a viewer, observer, and a fan. I was a fan sort of before then, but I wasn't. 91 was when it really, my memory started in this. So we're talking about 34 years of knowledge and memories and viewing what I'm talking about. How can you, with a straight face, listen to those accolades and say that this guy is not one of the greatest and not a top 10? No, he was not a top 10 player.
I got nothing to say to this bullshit. I ain't gonna lie.
Well, it's important. It's important for everyone to know. I want to know who sits on those kind of accolades. Who? There's only maybe 3 or 4 people.
Players
So
that are in the
sorry,
top five,
I'm
top
not gonna back off on it because it's important to let everybody know what's going on in case they don't want to go do the research. Kobe Bryant did everything in this league, and he did it for 20 years, killing himself. And his focus and his ability to become what he became and continue to be what he was. And here's the other thing. He was not protected like Michael Jordan was. Michael Jordan was a protected player most of his career. Every time the Lakers were winning, that fuckface David Stern would always change something and ruin it. And Kobe had to deal with a couple lockouts and all that stuff. Like none of that stuff was happening before 99, right? There was a lot of breakage in between here and there for whatever reason. Now, I will say that maybe there was some outside influence that created it, probably, and that was Kobe's fault. But looking at his statistics, looking at his impact in the game, sometimes it's not always about the statistics too. It's about the impact. The man scared people every moment he was on the court. He was the most feared player of his era. And you don't got to ask me. Go talk to Greg Popovich and Tim Duncan. Don't talk to me. Y'all think Shaq, when you watch Shaq against San Antonio, other than in 01, where he absolutely killed, he was struggling against San Antonio and Portland because they had the horses to contain him a little bit. And even Sacramento had the right players to sort of contain him, especially on the road. And what happened? What happened when that happened? Kobe Bryant was dropping, 48 to close out in Sacramento, clincher, dropping 41 in San Antonio, dropping game-winning threes in San Antonio to go up 2-0. Guys, you have to have, I mean, if you were there and you watched it, I'm sorry, I don't know what you were looking at and how you interpreted it, but, it is what it is. But that's the button on that, and I'm sure we'll address it here and there. I think we got what I needed out the last time. I'm not taking it to heart as much as Mark is, but Mark is a very emotional guy, and he speaks
Look,
from.
this is. I just want to say this real quick, and then I want to do this recap. Kari, I see what you're saying, bro. Like, I see you rescinded, or you took back your statement about the James Harden thing. The James Harden thing, bro.
He was joking. I'll give him that.
I wasn't even going to entertain that because I like to live by this thing that like lions don't lose sleep over the opinion of sheep. So like, if you genuinely did think that, like, I'm gonna just let you rock out and go down that road. But you don't, so sweet.
And this
good
is
for you.
Yeah.
Let me just finish real quick, Joe, and then I'll let you kick it off. But look, Kari, your last comment here is you're saying, Kobe is your idol. You looked up to him and arguably top 10 for sure. Brother, that just two and two are not making sense right now. Everything that Joe said, everything that Mark said, you could look at the accolades, you could look at the impact on the game, you could look at just the way he transitioned his game from being a slasher to becoming a shooter to becoming a player that's out there playing chess, not checkers. Guy, bro, he is easily a top 5, top 3 player of all time, bro. Personally, like, you want to get into 1, 2, 3s or whatnot. I think, I don't think I personally have LeBron over him, but that's not a slight. That's not a slight to him. I have LeBron over everyone that's ever picked up a basketball, to be honest with you. So that's not a slight, right? But I'm just trying to tell you, brother, that if you generally are saying he's the top 10 player, you're just looking at like you're just looking at a single stat or a single accolade, bro. You got to look at a basketball player, an overall basketball player. Like, Shaq was a dominant player, but Shaq was not a better basketball player than Kobe Bryant. Was he more of a dominant force? Yeah, he was. But it's a lot more to be a basketball player than to be a dominant force. So I'll go ahead and finish off with that. But I am going to go do my recap. If you guys do want to check out the recap, go check it out on my social medias on Lakers_corner on Instagram. And on Twitter, it's Lakers Corner 2. And Legend, hey brother, I'm not here to not here to debate that, brother. I respect your opinion, bro. There's arguments
Legend,
for both
okay.
sides, so totally respect your opinion. But if you want to see more on my stuff and Lakers Corner, check me out on YouTube, check me out on Instagram, TikTok, and for now, I'm out of here.
Thanks, John, for staying. Appreciate it.
A solid career, winning 2 Finals MVPs. By the way, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar has 2 Finals MVPs. Did he have a respectable career?
Yeah. And Gerald, before you go, just quickly,
that proves right there. That proves it right there that you put him at such a high level that he only won 2 Finals MVPs, yet you're degrading him.
But and boys, the one thing, like, okay, I'm giving an overseas perspective, an Australian perspective, and my parents are from Spain, so I know a lot about what goes down in Spain. Kobe was revered worldwide, man. And to this day, you won't forget. I'll never forget when I woke up. It was a Sunday morning, Gerald, in Australia. It was 5:30 a.m. I turned on the news and I saw the tragic news about Kobe. Man, that was worldwide. This guy was bigger than basketball. So, Kari, honestly, man, that's it. Joe put a button on it and we're going to move on. Kobe's a legend of the club, and let's just move on, Gerald. Let's talk about tonight's game where we actually played really well despite having 4 of our 5 starters out, and great contributions from AR, Dalton, Shake, Goodwin, and then it petered off a little bit after that. But hey, overall, there's some good signs. And if what Joe's saying is right, JJ can get them back and say to them, hey, you guys are in your bed for the next couple of weeks. Let's focus, let's lock in and win the games in LA. Man, we're going to be okay. But yeah, this hurt because if we'd won, we wouldn't be in 5th spot and we would have had another win up on Denver. But that's okay. We had players out and the club knew that. So it's all good, man. I got to focus on the positives. We're well placed. We are really well placed. Let's not forget that.
Troll of the day nominee is Timothy
I don't like
Santiago.
calling Kari a troll. He's not a troll. He's just confused.
No, I was going to say troll of the day is Timothy Santiago trying to say Luka and LeBron are overrated, Joe.
He's probably just doing that to just get under his skin. I get it.
Okay.
Yeah, and I don't know about you guys. I've seen Kari's comment there. If you talk about Pau Gasol, I'm going to touch on it. Pau Gasol's not underrated, man. He might have been to a few select people like you, Kari, but the dude is a baller, man, and he's respected worldwide again. And he's revered in Spain. He's an absolute Spanish legend. Okay, that's not going to, resonate with all the Americans. Fine. But the guy is a rookie of the year. He is also a Hall of Fame player. He's had his jersey retired for the Lakers. He's not underrated, Curry. We rate Pau Gasol every day of the week. He's my favorite player.
Jack has something in there, Joe. Is it fair to say Jokic is a better basketball player than Kobe? Not legacy, just player on the court. If he wins the MVP this year.
No comment.
Okay.
Yeah, well said.
All right.
I would say who you scared of more in the end of a tight game? Are you scared of Jokic or you're scared of Kobe? That's my definition of an MVP.
Okay.
I'll answer that. You're scared of Kobe.
Go for it.
Yeah, it's Kobe.
It was a rhetorical question.
Yeah, sorry, Joe.
Yeah, it was a rhetorical question.
Point because it's a great point.
Yeah,
it's Cobes.
It's a discussion this is not the first time I've had this discussion. And I don't know why Kobe didn't win at least 3 MVPs. He was the best player of the 2000s, and the last 7 years of the 2000s, he was the best player.
I didn't do that one, guys. I'll say this. I love how Mission 24 said, Timothy is blessed that we have a free-speaking LP channel. One of our moms timed him out. That's all I'll say. I didn't do that one, Joey. You can't get me on that one.
If it's
So,
if indeed it
I'm
was
sorry,
Colorado, if indeed it was Colorado where he didn't get what he was supposed to get, then what do you do? What can you do?
What do you do?
I can't. I'm basing it off of his skills. I can't. You want to not support somebody because you feel that there was something behind the scenes that happened that you believe happened. Okay, but that has nothing to do with. We don't really 100% know any of it. You all act like you do. Everyone acts like they do, but I don't know if that necessarily has anything to do with the game. It's unfortunate.
Again, the Lakers unfortunately lose after such a valiant effort for 47 minutes, 131 to 126. Again, we're all disappointed. Lakers come back not winning anything on the road trip, but it makes these home games more imperative. You know what it does? Because Joe said it earlier, Mark. Joe said earlier that the Lakers have to win games coming up that they're not expected to win. And winning the home games, even if they go 5-1, 6-1 over the next 6 or 7 games, most of them are home. That's going to be expected for the Lakers. I think the games that I'm thinking of are coming up in April. If they win both in OKC, would that wipe out some of the faux pas that they've had so far that they'd like to take back? If they win both in OKC in early April?
Yeah, without doubt. But at the same time, if they lose them and, the circumstance of the game that it's close or what have you, for me, we got to we've obviously got to win the next few home games. The home stand here is super important, so we can get back up there in the standings around, like Joe keeps saying, second or third spot is pretty much, unless we get that, then we don't really have a chance to win the chip, given, statistics years gone by. But I do also feel like the Luka factor, is a little bit different there. If we don't get the second or third, then we've still got a chance. But for me, yeah, the next little period, Gerald, is super important. More important than worrying about what happens in back-to-back games in OKC. I mean, you just never know. We might be in
but
a
let's
position
just
where
say
we
if
can
they
rest
win those
players.
games, does it take
Yeah.
some of the sting out of what happened tonight?
Well, yeah, like obviously, if we start winning and then we move up the table, yes, Gerald. But I also just need to keep going on about the positives tonight. We didn't have 4 of the 5 players that normally start for us. Bang. So there we win. Okay. If you have 2 of those players, potentially we just win tonight. And mix up any 2. It's not just LeBron and Luka. Obviously, LeBron and Luka, game, set, and match. But we would have taken Jackson Hayes and Rui tonight with a nice performance by AR and Dalton. Probably would have got us over the line, potentially. So for me, yeah, like the OKC games are important depending on what's happening at that time, Gerald. Right now, we just got to lock in and we got to win the next game. The next game against Phoenix at home is huge. Phoenix are playing okay. They're playing a little bit better. They had a really good game against Denver where they lost in overtime. They've won tonight against the Kings. You can't take them lightly, okay? They're on a little bit of a upward trajectory. That's the next game, and we got to win. If we beat the Suns, then we roll on to the next game. That's the focus for me, Gerald. And if we beat the Suns, then I'll forget about tonight. But I'm also looking at tonight as a little bit of a positive too. It hurts a lot, but there was good signs overall. So, let's focus on that and roll to the next game. Phoenix, we've got you in our crosshairs. That's Sunday for you, Gerald, if I'm mistaken,
Yes,
and
it's
Monday
it's,
for
it's
me.
going to be an early one, my friend. It's going to be like
Yep.
I think it's a 12:30 game, Joe. Is that correct?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's early for you boys.
And that's
So
not
they only
good.
get
That's
like
usually not
they only
good,
get really
but
a day.
yeah,
a
that's
day.
not really. Yeah, it's not good usually. But the Lakers have to win. Honestly, if they are to probably still be in the hunt for the 2 and 3, especially the 2. They have to win the 5 games at home. That's what I'm
That's
kind of
critical.
that's
Yeah.
how I'm going. That's what has to happen here. If they had won, if they had even at least won the Brooklyn game,
Yeah.
then you can go 4-1 in this thing. But they got to make up some ground here. This was
Yep.
this loss tonight was a burner because they were up 3 with 53 seconds left. That's
Yeah.
a win. That has to be a win, no matter who's playing. You should be able to stop somebody once when you're at that point. This is probably going to bother me later tonight when I'm kind of getting ready to hit the hay. But geez, sucks.
Yeah, it hurts. It hurts.
It hurts indeed. But once again, the Lakers do lose 131 to 126. They're now 5th place in the Western Conference, 13 and a half games behind Oklahoma City. 2 games in the standings behind the Denver Nuggets. They're now 1 game back in the loss column. But we'll see. Again, they get only 1 full day off as they head back home before they go back at it again early Sunday afternoon, and we'll have it up for you on playback.tv/Lakers Fast Break. Don't forget, our programming tomorrow is the Lakerholics, and they will be up at 11 a.m. Pacific time. So go ahead and join them and hear their thoughts on the not-so-great road trip, the heroic performance today, and what's upcoming with the injuries and the homestand. So go ahead and hear that coming up tomorrow at 11 a.m. indeed. But yes, definitely M24. Thank you so much for joining us. You're down to your small mini TV in the bathroom. I think you commented on earlier. I believe Walmart and Amazon both ship next day. So I think you could get a nice big one in time for that. Costco, they got some great deals. I get my TVs at Costco. So, yeah.
Gerald, if you don't mind, I've got a question for Joe. Joe, you've been a big advocate of Goodwin. I have been less of an advocate. What did you see tonight from him in terms of, moving forward and the minutes that potentially Shake and him could share? Or is there for me, honestly, JJ's got to be looking at Gabe and he's got to be saying, Gabe, if you don't sharpen up, we're going to give you minutes elsewhere. And for me, I don't know, Joe. I know you don't like Shake as much as me. He's a player, man. He sort of reminds me a little bit of Lonnie Walker. Not as good. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys. He won't go for 30 in a game against Golden State in a playoff game. But what are you thinking there?
He's too hitchy. He hitches too much in his game. A good defender, a good defensive team will take advantage of that.
Gotcha.
So when you talk about let's say a quarterback in football, if their throwing motion isn't up to par, a good defense, a good defender can hone in on that deficiency and take advantage of it and get a step on that quarterback and make it hard for him to complete passes. That's what Shake is. As far as Goodwin has a little bit more. He's got more fluidity in his game, and he's developing still.
Yeah.
Let me interject with this, Joe, to add on to it. When Gabe is, again, he's all over the place. He's a very streaky player. So when he's not at it and when he's pissing off Xbox, do you think that now JJ has a possible resource in Goodwin, more minutes for him, or even a Shake Milton to bring them in instead? Let's say he just is not having in the first half game, and Xbox hates his face. Xbox hates his face, etc. And it doesn't look like he's going to have a game like he had in Brooklyn per se. Do you just go with a Goodwin or Milton in the second half, Joe, or what do you do?
Yes, role players typically play like that. They play streaky basketball. JJ likes Gabe Vincent though, and Gabe Vincent is a better defender than both of those guys.
True.
So if he's healthy, which is always the question, he's likely going to get the minutes regardless, unless you need a offensive punch, which I would go with Goodwin. Shake, I from what I've seen this year, this was kind of his best game tonight. If he can play like this regularly, sure, I would be on board to playing him more minutes. But this is an option thing for JJ. At least these guys are playing well enough to be coherent and options in the future if they need them, which is a good thing. The playoffs, it's very hard to see that usually. You don't see 9-10 man rotations in the playoffs. And what I'm hoping for is a healthy team. So when you look at how they get into the playoffs, preferably, hopefully, again, a 2 or 3 seed, you're going to have Luka, AR, Rui, LeBron, and Jackson Hayes as your starters. Then you're going to have Connect, Vincent, and then some form of a Koloko or
Vando,
Jemison or whatever, right? So right there, you already have 8 guys.
Yeah.
That's likely going to be the rotation. And then if you mix in Goodwin in there and then mix in Shake, I don't know. You don't see that a lot.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. Yeah.
I don't know. This might be an anomaly this year. They may have to do that. And I don't if the JJ feels like it's something that can work, then all power to him. I just don't know. I don't know. The team has been this has been an unprecedented season of all years that I've watched the Lakers basketball. It went from a completely different franchise to a completely different franchise. we went from what are we going to do in the next 10 years to holy crap, this is what we're going to do in the next 10 years.
Yeah.
It did that
so
instantly in 5 minutes of being on air that evening, after they had beaten the Knicks and we were happy. Then it turned into the hell with the Knicks win. It turned into what are the Lakers going to be in the next 10 years?
Yeah.
All that despair, all that worry about, oh my God, we're never going to catch up to the Celtics in titles in our lifetime now, because if they end up winning, it's going to be even worse. Now I'm not even worried about it. Even if the Celtics won this year, which would suck still, I feel very comfortable that Luka will eventually win 2 or 3 titles with this team, because history says a player like that comes to LA at his age wins championships.
Yep.
So that's kind of the button on that.
So before we head on out, I know that Xbox, you wanted to touch on one last individual. I don't know, Joe's actually kind of eased off on this since, Luke kind of getting Luka kind of
he's chilling.
Yeah, he's kind of chilled out on this. But Bronny James played 15 minutes today, or what did he do? 16. Did make a couple of good defensive plays. Let's give him credit for that. 2 of 2 from the free throw line.
Yeah.
But again, shooting was the issue with him. And, they felt so confident in him in those minutes that AR was off the floor. They decided to not let him run the offense. They were letting Connect run the offense in those AR off the floor minutes, which, okay. That's, I guess, if anybody, they didn't even trust Goodwin to do that either, which was kind of, that was kind of surprising too. But your thoughts on Bronny? Air ball. Really again, gotta cut down on that a little bit. But Bronny James, 2 points tonight. Excuse me, a little bit more, 5 points tonight. 5. Yes, didn't get quite the 15 Doobie was asking for or more, but
he got a 3, Gerald. I remember that, and he got.
Carl was right. He was a +8. Let's give him some props on that.
No, and that's why I sort of brought it up. And he got 2 free throws. But when you look at him in isolation on the court, the guy is not NBA level, unfortunately. Okay, he scored tonight, but I probably could have scored that 3, guys. The boys saw me earlier today balling out. Joe didn't rate it, but it was pretty good. So, I could have potentially scored that 3, and then he had 2 free throws, which we'll take.
I didn't know you were a southpaw.
Yeah, I know. Well, it's the camera. I'm a right-hander. an optical illusion, but we won't go there about Anchorman. But yeah, for me, Bronny, yeah, look, serviceable performance tonight. So we'll give him a shout out in that respect, Gerald. The end of the day, this is NBA level, and for someone to be able to contribute in any way is, that means you can play to a degree. Now, it's questionable whether or not this guy's a NBA level player, but when I see him do a couple of things, then he sort of cancels it out with a couple of really bad moves too. It's a sort of
You're
a
hoping it's youth. You're hoping it's because he's a rookie, and you're hoping he's
yeah.
gonna.
No, but there was issues like with his handles and things like that I don't know. I just his body type for me, just it doesn't resonate. He obviously, I've said this before, please don't take offense, guys, but he's gotten more of his mum's body than his dad's, and it's just not like he's tall, but he's not super tall. He's not like wide. I just don't know. It obviously is feels like a bit of a charity case, but we'll give him his props, man. 5 points in the NBA is 5 points. So for Bronny tonight, thanks for your contribution, but JJ got it right in the second half, Gerald. He didn't play him, did he?
But also the fact he's 6'1" and is
Yeah.
not your primary ball handler.
No.
That's kind of
you're right. And they went to, and that was interesting that you mentioned
Dalton
that,
was in the AR off minutes. Dalton was the guy that they went to initiate the offense.
Yeah, and
That
look,
that's a tough out for
Dalton's
a guy
got to
like
get
him.
better with his handles, Gerald. Like Dalton, he's got sick elevation. He can dunk. Like he can really dunk well, and obviously he can shoot. But the handles part of Dalton's game, that's the next evolution for Dalton. Obviously, the defense is going to be something that he needs to work on forever and a day. But if Dalton can get some pretty secure handles around him, and he's got some great players like AR and Luka and LeBron to learn off. If he can get that part of his game right and sort of see the court a bit more, he doesn't distribute the ball very well either. He's obviously very focused on scoring. He might, like Joe said before, man. The best thing that happened about that Mark Williams trade is the fact we kept Dalton connect. Dalton's a real baller, man, and he could play for our club for 5-10 years. Obviously he might move on at one point because he can't get the contract he wants from us. But whilst we can keep him on rookie wages and on the come up, he's a super important player for the team. Super important. But shout out to Dalton and AR. A few guys have said it. They've had a great game tonight, and let's not gloss over that. They really have had a great game in the Mile High in Denver.
I just
Gerald,
wish, I just wish
easy place
would
to
have
play.
hid. I just wish you would have hid Dalton on defense a little bit more, or do more to just that's better switching, better communication.
Yeah.
The final minute, but also down the stretch when they hunted Dalton a lot on the defensive side. Again, that's a learning experience for him. He's got to get better at it. You guys all want him to play more. I want him to play more, but he's got to be able to be at least an adequate defender. And he did make a couple plays underneath the basket defensively, but out on the floor, out on the perimeter, he's got to be a little bit better, in order to stay out there on the floor in crunch time. In more games like this, that counts. But before we end it out, Joe, want to get some final thoughts? How important is Sunday's game against Phoenix?
Very important. Every game at home in the next 5 games is important. They have to win all 5 games.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
it's do or die.
Do or die.
Okay. Last. I'm going to address this for the last time. Kerry, if you're going to talk,
because he's been talking up Shaq now.
I'm going to remind you again. I'm going to remind them again. Shaq got swept in 94, 95, 96, 98, and 99. Stop telling me about Shaq. Stop telling me about Shaq, okay? You're telling me that Shaq allowed Kobe to do what he did, but you're not. But the other way around doesn't work either. What did Shaq win until Kobe became Kobe? What did he win?
Xbox.
How old are you, Kerry? Are you 25?
We're just throwing it out there.
I don't ban people unless it's racial stuff.
Yeah, I know.
You guys can do whatever you want. Gerald and
You've said that. Yeah,
Gerald and
you're
Mark
right.
can do whatever they want. I don't give a shit what they do. They want to ban somebody, that's on them. I don't care, except for that one exception. But you cannot sit there and say, oh, well, it's because of this, and then it doesn't work the other way around, and they're on the same team. What? Everything is, oh, well, Kobe had Gasol. That's why they won. Oh, well, they had Shaq. That's why he won. Well, what about Pippen in Chicago? What about LeBron with Wade and Bosh? What about LeBron with Kyrie? This is a team sport. You have to have 5 guys in there, and preferably good teams win with 2 stars usually. No one's prime was higher than Shaq's, not even Jordan. Shaq was the most devastating player ever in my viewing shape, like in terms of dominating. No one was more dominating. The guy you had to employ 3 centers. And when he left from the East Coast to the West Coast, all those centers that were 6 foul guys shifted to the West. You know how many people Shaq employed because of that? But there's one thing that you need to pay attention to. When did Shaq get the ball at the end of games in those times? Very, very little.
He's right around Xbox's age, to answer your question.
How old are you, Xbox?
Turning 40. 39.
Okay, so you're old enough to remember this. You shouldn't be this dense. The argument is you're never going to win this argument. I don't give a shit if you bring 400 million people here to tell me. I was there. I know what I saw.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm not going to say. I saw Jordan, Kobe, and LeBron in their primes. Virtually their entire time. Jordan, I missed a little bit. I was a little young when he was the freakish athlete, but I saw him when he was probably at his best, when he had everything in. Yeah. Well, yeah. There you go. So.
And Joe and I agree. That's one of the things we agree on is where Jordan sits at the top.
Jordan and Kobe did not have weaknesses. They're the 2 players. They're the only 2 players I've ever seen play basketball that had no weaknesses. Free throws, jump shots, getting to the basket.
Hell yeah.
Fierce competitors, rip your heart out. The thing is, Kobe's career was different in terms of its trajectory because he was an anomaly at the time. He was a perimeter guy that came into the NBA from high school. Jordan played for Dean Smith for 3 years. Shaq played for Dale Brown for 3 years. These guys were seasoned coming in. What was great about the NBA during that time was players like Shaq, players like Jordan, players like Hakeem actually played better in the NBA. Why? Because there wasn't a zone defense at that time, up until, of course, after the Lakers won in 2002, because they had to stop the Lakers somehow. So they implemented the zone. And what was going on is, for those of you who don't understand this, in college, there was a zone, so you could shade as many guys to that player as possible, right? Well, in the NBA, you couldn't do that. If Shaq didn't have the ball in the block, or Hakeem didn't have the ball in the block, or if Patrick Ewing didn't have the ball in the block, you couldn't shade a second defender on him. It's illegal defense. Illegal defense. You have to wait for him to get the ball. Then you can go double team and triple team him. Well, by that time, they've already established enough in the paint to basically turn around, jumper, boom, done. And then you have Kobe Bryant, and this is something that you have to dig into it. The competition for Kobe. I told you this. He won 2 championships out of his 5 playing 50-win teams in 2 of those series and 2 of those runs. They were playing 50-win teams in the first round. It matters. It matters. It wasn't. I'm not downgrading LeBron, but LeBron got to the finals in the East with ease because the competition was just not good enough. I'm just saying what it is. I'm not trying to downgrade his career. But Kobe went through more competition. Kobe beat 4 Hall of Famers in a final without a 75 player. I love Pau Gasol, but he's not a top 75 player. He won a championship with a broken finger and a shooting hand and no cartilage in his left knee. When do you factor that into things? Who wins like that? Inefficient score? What is efficiency?
He said number one, he said Kobe's weaknesses: inefficient score, gambled on defense, didn't pass enough. Asked Phil Jackson on the gamble on defense.
Well, you're checking stats. So he's checking stats
Muppet.
on poor in the clutch. Okay.
Go watch the 2002
It doesn't
final.
look like it's looking like I'm wasting my time here. I'll keep mentioning it every now and then, but you don't get it, dude.
Yeah. Well,
I saw 7 game winners in one season. I don't even know what the hell you're talking. They have it on YouTube. You should go find it. I don't know anybody that had 7 game winners in the same season.
I mean, if you're looking at it from last 2 or 5 minutes, whatever the stat they put out as clutch time, Joe, all the players, Jordan, all of them have like.
You're moving the goalpost, Kerry.
Yeah.
Every comment I'm giving you, you're moving the goalpost. So there's no point talking to you anymore. You're moving the goalpost. It's a team game in the end, yes. But the most feared player, the 2 most feared players that I watched in the last 34 years was Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant. You could see people not knowing what the hell they can do. I don't know what stats you're looking at. I do know a legitimate stat. Michael Jordan has 9 buzzer beaters, and guess who's below him? The one that's tied with Kobe is actually a surprise. It's Joe Johnson. But Kobe Bryant has 8. So I don't know what stat you're looking at. What are you looking at? Last second shot with 14.3 seconds left, and maybe Kobe didn't hit that shot? I mean, like, where are you pulling that out of your ass?
Curry, go watch the Redeem Team if you want to learn about Kobe
that's
Bryant.
another thing. So where's Kobe's credit for the Redeem Team in 08? Because they were getting their ass kicked in 04 and 06. Oh, well, that's because Kobe went to the team that was already stacked. Okay, well, why didn't they win then? If they were so good. What about the game winner in that one? Did you watch that one? Don't you remember this? And this is probably something you should do now. Remember this? What was that? Was that a figment
against Spain, Joe?
And by the way, that hurt because I love Pau. I hated that they had to beat Spain to do that.
Yeah.
But Kobe Bryant is second to Michael Jordan. I've never seen anyone master basketball other than Michael Jordan better than Kobe Bryant. And that's a fact. And Magic is, if you came and said Magic or Bird, I'd probably believe you there too. And I'm sorry, this sucks to say this, but I look at centers in basketball. They have to be in a different category. It's a different position, kind of like pitchers and everyday players. There has to be a separation of greatest player and greatest big man, because big men can't dribble the ball typically through a game. They have to be given the ball, and that's just a different dynamic. So that's it. That's that. But this is not the guys. This isn't the first time I've had this discussion. I've had this discussion for years. Okay, and every time I have this discussion, I know it's not going to change your mind, but you're going to feel better sitting with a bunch of dunskies who don't know shit about basketball. Most people don't know shit about anything. Actually, they have no culture. Now you're at least somebody. There's a few people in here that are going to learn a little bit about how much knowledge there is behind this. We were there. I was there. Gerald was there. We know this. We saw it. I'm not saying this because he was a Laker. I'm not. I did not see. I've never seen that skill set other than Michael Jordan. I've seen Kobe and Jordan. That's just what it is. AI had a chance. Tracy McGrady had a chance, but those guys hit a level that couldn't go above those guys because they didn't put in the work, and that factors into that too. By the way,
and Rodell, for all the bad points that you make and good points, that's a great point. Kobe Bryant inspired a generation, Joe. That's something that we don't often. Michael Jordan did, and then Kobe did. LeBron has to a degree, obviously, but a lot of those players from the early 2000s, Joe, were inspired by Kobe Bean Bryant, and they reference him to this day. That's a sign of a transcendent player that we think we've got with Luka. They inspire others.
yes, sir, and yes, Jack. Luka has shown the last couple of years that he is a scary. When we talked about the trade immediately after that, we talked about the clutch gene. This guy was busting guys up the last couple of years on teams that were really not supposed to go to the Western Conference Finals and the finals. So he's with an organization now that appreciates who he is and what he does, and they will supply him. They will supply him with what he needs. Get ready. Luka Doncic will be a world champion as an LA Laker very, very soon.
So is he the most feared player in the NBA?
I believe
Jack
he is.
asking.
Yes, I believe he's the most clutch in the NBA. I don't think Giannis has a clutch thing.
No.
Jokic, not really.
Ant-Man, no.
Ant-Man, no.
Not the same level.
Who else is a
Curry.
Curry used to have it.
Mm.
Just your anxiety of the three from anywhere, that's a problem. Dame Lillard had a little bit of it. But
SGA?
he hasn't shown that
proven
yet. Not
Yeah.
because he hasn't won. I just don't see him tear your heart out at the end of games yet. I haven't seen that yet.
The Boston boys?
No, not yet. Maybe Jason Tatum might be creeping a little bit, but I haven't felt that. I haven't felt it yet. No. Luka's the only guy really that comes to mind. And the previous guys were Dame Lillard and Steph.
Yeah, well said.
So on that note, it is, of course, the Lakers fast break. Lakers lose 131-106. A valiant effort, just coming up short. Lakers fall to 40-25, fifth place in the Western Conference. Again, we'll be back on Sunday for playback.tv/Lakers fast break. And then also as well, of course, the post game right here, wherever you get your podcasts. And then tomorrow, it is, of course, the Lakerholics crew, Lakerholics.com. They'll be here tomorrow. Your entertainment for the day is Laker Tom, Jamie, Michael Heinrich may be there. So go ahead and check it out tomorrow at 11 a.m. They'll talk about the Lakers' current free fall. They'll talk about what's upcoming at the homestand. Talk about all the injuries right there on the Lakers Fast Break podcast. So part of a great Lakers weekend. Hopefully the Lakers will get back on track on Sunday. But until then, it's Gerald Glassford, Mark, aka Xbox, and of course Joe Soro. We thank you again for watching, listening. We'll be back tomorrow at 11. And of course on Sunday. Hopefully not arguing about Kobe again. Please. As Xbox says, let him rest in peace. But we'll be back.
Rest in peace.
Hopefully we'll be back for more. And hopefully back for some wins. Shut up, Joe. Right here on the Lakers Fast Break. Say it again.
Talladega Nights. Don't you remember the interview?
Yes, I know that. Yes, I know. Yes.
Sure.
Yes, he had to have Sasha Cohen get him too. So
I am from Formula Air.
yes.
What is this nonsense? Shake and bake. What is this nonsense?
Yes.
Shake and bake.
All right. Thanks again for joining us.
Intel,
Right.
whatever. But
We're
shout
American.
out to Intel.
because we're in America.
All right. We'll see you tomorrow with the Lakerholics right here at the Lakers Fast Break Podcast.
Formula Air.